The new PDC season kicks off on Friday. The 2020 season was a memorable season for a lot of reasons. Do you see the next 12 months following suit?
It's going to be tough just based on, you start with the weirdness that was last year because of COVID. We hope that we don't have another 12 months of it, but we will at least have some where there's going to be no predictability in the schedule alone, let alone the results. So it will be a bit weird for a while, but at some point, things will likely start to go back to something that we used to call normal. And it's going to create just a completely different feel. But even when that does happen, you look back at what happened in the last 12 months in darts, and you see the number of players who won their first major, Dimitri Vandenberg, Jose de Sousa, first PDC major in terms of Glenn Durant, and seeing a new world number one. Hadn't been able to say that for 7 years when Gerwen Price, on the last day of the darting season, became world number one by winning the world championship. And even, seeing resurgence from players like Kerry Anderson making the two biggest ranking major finals on the calendar. There was a lot of diversity in winners and a lot of diversity in finalists, and it's going to be tough to match that. Even if Michael van Gerwen doesn't get back to his best, it's going to be tough to have 6 different major champions again. It could happen. It absolutely could happen. But I think we're going to see more majors get won by the top 3 players in the world this year than happened last year. So in that regard, it'll still be memorable, but not for as many different reasons as it was last year.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be just as good, if not better, if we're basing it on what we've seen over the last 12 months. And we've just had the PDC put on their own awards at a little bit higher production value than what our awards were. But Gerwen Price sweeping a lot of the awards, the Player of the Year, Fans Player of the Year, the PDPA Players Player of the Year, the Pro Tour Player of the Year, 1R Player of the Year as well, of course. But you look back at the season and yes, he was dominant for a few parts of it towards the back end of the year, especially finishing up with that world title and becoming the world number one. But there were parts of it when he wasn't that dominant force. And you mentioned the titles that were won by Jose de Sousa, Dimitri Vandenberg, Glenn Durant. Gerwen Price wasn't close in the final stages of those events. So it will be interesting to see how this year goes, and a lot of it will depend on Michael van Gerwen because, as we know before, when we've spoken on this show, he's had a dip in form and we've wrote him off. Other people have wrote him off and he's come back firing. He's won big titles, and I just look back to, okay, he's not the world number one anymore and he'll be wanting to get that back as soon as he can. But you look at the World Championship as well. He's gone 2 years now without winning it. The last time he did that, 2015, 2016, Gary Anderson did the double. And you look at the season that Michael van Gerwen produced after that, it was arguably the best ever season we've seen in the PDC. He won 26 titles that season. A lot of the big titles he took and capped it off with that World Championship at the end of the year. We've now got 3 players on £1 million plus on the Order of Merit for the first time. So that race to be the number one over the year is going to be fun to watch. A lot of it will depend as well on what events do get to go ahead. There's European Tour events that are going to be coming off the ranking this year. Will we see as many European Tour events like we did 2 years ago? Will we see all the big TV events go ahead? Will we see as many floor events go ahead? There's still a lot of questions to be answered as far as how this season is going to look. And you're going to hear in a few moments' time from Graham Fairhurst, the PDC tournament director, and he's hoping to get an announcement out this weekend on how the first couple of months are going to look. We're going to talk about the UK Open in a moment. Details of that are out now, but a lot of it will depend on what we do see darts-wise this year. And for players, they've had this spell now where we've had events behind closed doors, the TV events, and unfortunately that is going to be the way things go for a few months more at least. And it's just about adapting. Can they adapt to those surroundings better than maybe what they did last season? Because the fans might not be there, but the rewards are. There is still these big pots of prize money to play for, and what comes after that, you see Jose and Dimitri now in the Premier League this year. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be just as good, if not better.